All right, well, welcome everyone. Let's see. There's Richard. Richard, are you going to be able to take notes today?
I better go back to the table. Yeah, I forgot about that. Okay.
Unless someone else wants to take notes, although you do such a good job.
Oh, yeah. Listen to that.
We could always shift things around. I'm happy to let someone else be the chair if anyone's interested. You know, that kind of thing. We could shake things up if we want.
But Sally, you've been doing such a great job.
Yeah, turn it back on her.
I don't think anyone could replace Sally or Richard for the roles that they play.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, I've read, I'm on a lot of different committees, and one of the things that people are reporting is that it works really well to rotate responsibilities, that people don't feel trapped in a particular task.
Yeah.
Not that we want to do that or anything.
I think it's a good idea, actually. I think it might be worth thinking about and talking about at some point.
Yes.
You know, that first year we were all on the board together. Ian was the chair, I was the note taker, and then the next year, Richard became the note taker, I became the chair. But we didn't keep that lovely plan going year after year. So let's see, who just arrived? Someone did. Is it John?
It's John McCormick. Hello, Sally.
Great, welcome, John.
Thank
We're
you.
just starting right now.
Good.
All right, so it's a pretty, pretty short agenda today, I think. We'll see how it goes. Let's see. First of all, I guess we're going to talk about EV charging, and there isn't a whole lot to talk about right now, but I think that, well, Richard, you talked about maybe finding a way to talk with the select board. But one of the things I've heard is the select board and the ARPA committee they're just really pulling things together. And so there's no super rush, they're not ready to see any proposals for months. So
I think too, I just got a summary of the legislative action, that some key bills that were passed that are still waiting to see if the governor is going to sign them or not. But when that process is finished, for example, transportation and EVs and so on are within that legislation. And so there's going to be funding available possibly through that as well. And I think that and our discussion on the municipal building weatherization and fuel switching is the same. There's going to be funding available in a variety of ways, and it's probably going to be up to the select board and the ARPA committee to decide how to parse this all out. Like, we don't want to jump on the bandstand and immediately use ARPA funds if there are regular budgeted funds or something through the legislative process. We want to get, I guess what I'm saying is we want to access as much as we can in a strategic way.
I agree very much. And the Coco at the library was saying the same thing about the proposed things for energy at the library. She says, there's going to be infrastructure funding, and there's no sense using ARPA funds if we can get things paid for by other things. Let ARPA funds be as much for people in Bristol residents, and not that the library isn't that way, but so I guess we're on the same page with that.
Sally, since
Yes.
I'm on the ARPA committee,
Oh, yes. Thanks.
I am on the business subcommittee with Ian and Porter. So it's just we three. And we're trying to encourage businesses to come forward and make an appeal for ARPA funding, which might help their individual business. I can do this. I will talk with Patrick and really come to understand the details of his marvelous and very concise report. And I complimented him for that. What I'd like to do is just put this on the table for the business subcommittee, just so that there's, as infrastructure money and other funds become available, and Bristol can appeal for some part of that, if in fact Bristol wants to go ahead and install the charger. So there may be a shortfall, the amount of money that Bristol would get from some other source, and that the ARPA funds will be distributed over several years. Those are probably the several years that any idea that moves forward using federal money or infrastructure money or state money will actually come together as a an architect's plan and a contract to do the work. So just having it in the business committee is a safeguard that if Bristol doesn't get money from other sources or doesn't get enough, the ARPA then could chip in and complete the job.
That's great, John. Thanks.
So John, you're suggesting, particularly with the EV charging, that we should submit the bid that we've received to the ARPA committee for consideration?
Yes, exactly. Pat,
Okay.
you're talking about Patrick's report and bottom line, is that right?
Right. And then
Yeah,
and
good.
the quote from Norwich Energy or whatever.
Oh,
they
good.
are.
Well, see, and again, thank you, Richard, for reminding me of that. I'll talk with Patrick in some detail, but just put it on the table is a good safeguard.
Okay. Got it.
We'll just let you handle that then, John, right? Does that sound good?
Yeah, good, thank you. And I think our business committee is going to meet on the 24th, so it's very appropriate that I be talking with Patrick in this next several days.
John, do you have a copy of the bid from Norwich, or should we send it to you?
Oh, please do. No, I don't have that. I know I don't have it in my email. So
Okay,
thank
I
you,
think I've
Richard.
got it. If I don't, I'm sure Sally does. So,
I'm not
Good.
sure. I end up losing a lot of mail. So,
okay, I'll check, and if I don't, I'll contact them and ask for another copy.
that's great.
Okay.
Thanks. All right. Moving along, let's see. So municipal buildings, energy savings, we're looking at the library mostly right now. And Coco and I talked and Carolyn talked. And so this week we've kind of honed in on what they would like at the library pretty much. They had a meeting last night and I haven't heard how that went as far as the board goes, but I kind of volunteered that the energy committee would help with a couple things, and Coco is going to oversee about 4 of the other projects as far as getting contractors and just making sure it's moving along. And so what I kind of signed us up for, which I recognize we didn't talk about it, so it would be me doing it if you didn't want to do anything. But let's see. First of all was, building the attic hatch. Not that we do that, but we just make sure we coordinate with Tim Birchmore, who said he's willing to do it. And Tim also said he's willing to air seal and insulate the back entry, box sill, and crawl space area. And he also said he's willing to insulate and air seal the west side box sill. So those are three projects that I said I would keep contact with Tim Birchmore and, just see if we can get a quote from him. And then the other one is the windows. There's a variety of things to do with the windows, and Coco pointed out which ones might be ones that just stay closed all the time and they could get an insert. And others need to move, so we need help focusing on how to make sure those ones that want to move are really movable and latchable and working. So I kind of said that the Energy Committee would kind of help make that happen. So I'm hoping that I get some buds to do that with.
And the source of funding for that work,
Okay.
Sally?
This was, all we're doing is pulling together quotes for it to then go on to a list of things for either ARPA or other funds, infrastructure,
Okay, good.
municipal. It's someone else pays money. But
Well-
there are some of the things I know that we might be able to help out with if others can't, if others don't sign up to do them. The windows,
Just
I'm thinking of just window dressers, inserts, or commercial inserts for the lower windows.
mhm.
But still, we need to talk with like Carolyn and the board. I've only spoken directly with Coco at this point.
May I
Sally,
just interject? May I just interject here?
Yes,
Since, again, the ARPA business subcommittee can include municipal buildings at an appropriate time, and it doesn't sound that this is the moment in time to do that, but lay this on the table as well.
great.
But at an appropriate time, maybe, because this won't be the last meeting that the business subcommittee has. It'll be our
That's-
first.
Yeah, that's great. We're probably not going to have the information all together until, later August. We've got to talk to different contractors.
Perfect.
I
So
just talked
sometime-
with Jackman's about heat pumps and, it's lots of different balls in the air around the various things that need to be done over there.
Good work, Sally. Really, it's great.
It's been a lot of different people on board with it, but it's felt
Mhm.
good to kind of stay with it. I was wondering what was going to happen, and I'm like, okay, we gotta make this happen.
Good. Cool.
Um,
You are making it happen.
Great. One thing I don't know about, and Coco's not sure about, like, actually, she decided to take care of that, so I don't have to worry about it. Never mind. So my other question is, that's the library. Is there anything else we want to look at with the Holly Hall? We got an audit, a walkthrough with Rose Wall, and she gave us some info. Is there anything more we need to look at and get organized around what could be done there and ask for quotes from people?
I'm wondering, what's going on right now is throwing a whole lot of balls in the air. And I've found on two projects, my home and my church, that having a contractor like Building Energy, which is certified by the state, come in and really do a full survey and then give you a piece by piece price on what it would cost, rather than going to all kinds of different contractors.
Okay,
For one thing, you get a comprehensive approach or comprehensive picture. And in both cases that I've been familiar with Building Energy, they came in, they audited it. It's not cheap necessarily, but then you get a list with what they feel needs to be done, what the savings are, and what the cost is. And then you can submit that. It'd be a lot easier to submit that to the ARPA fund in a way that
Aha.
people will understand.
Is there some estimate of what that auditing might cost? $600, $700, $800?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. We had a full audit done in our church, which was um, more comparable maybe to Holly Hall than the
Okay.
library in size and square footage and so on.
Yeah.
I can dig back in my records, but I can also call Building Energy. If the committee's interested in me doing that, I can contact them. I could
Now,
also
what-
ask, go ahead,
For which committee?
this committee, if we want to proceed in that manner, or would you rather proceed kind of the way we're going?
I see.
I'm just thinking, one is kind of a turnkey and one's going to require a lot more work on our part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um,
I wonder if VEIC would be interested in funding the auditing costs.
We've asked about that, and they said
Oh,
recently, sometime during this winter, that they don't do that.
yeah,
oh, yeah.
they basically offered us a free walkthrough.
Yeah,
And, that told us that there are some things to do over at Holly Hall, but, not a ton without it being very expensive or being hard to do because it's historical. So, we didn't get as excited about going forward. It seemed like more of a piecemeal thing to do, like, okay, we could insulate that or that. But maybe getting an audit and just having them, tell us. I guess we should find out if the town wants that or not. Do we,
so let me contact them
okay,
and get some information that we could present to the select board and get
Great.
their advice. Would that make sense?
that's great, Richard.
I like that. That's good.
Okay.
Are they Williston or are they West Middlebury?
They're Williston.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Do you want me to do it just for Holly Hall for now, or with the library too?
I don't know if we need to do it for the library at this point, because it's had the blower door and all that. I don't really know. Do you think it's,
Well, we don't have a comprehensive
yeah,
report with prices and projected savings.
right, okay, they would give the prices, whereas we don't have the prices now. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they would go ahead and do it if we chose them.
Well,
You don't have to, but they could.
yeah,
I mean, that's not built in to the audit process. You can always do it yourself, or you can hire somebody else.
yeah. It feels a little funny since I've started with, Tim Birchmore. He's been looking at it, and Jackman's is going over there to look at it for stuff. So I don't know. I mean, maybe it's probably wise to have different quotes and stuff like that. Yeah, I don't know much about this stuff, so I'll let you, who's been more involved in this kind of thing, decide what's best for it.
Well,
I would imagine the select board would not want to approve a sole source contract.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Good point.
we really just let me get information, and we'll consult with the select board,
Sounds great.
get their advice. Well, I mean, we're not going to be making the decision anyway, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Richard. The next is our October 1st EV event on the green. It turns out that Drive Electric and GMP can make it on that day, most likely. I mean, not definitely for Drive Electric, but they think they'll have someone there. So it'd be kind of like last year where electric cars from people in the town show up and people get to try them or talk to the owners about them and learn more about them. GMP brings cars, Drive Electric might bring cars, or they just might show up to talk about things with people.
We should ask the Shell station if they would allow us to park some of those electric cars around their pumps.
Oh, that's nasty, John.
But it's the truth. It'll be $5 pretty soon.
Yeah, I
Oh,
actually, I passed a $4.99 somewhere today.
Yes, there is one. Yeah.
Just be happy you don't live in California.
What is it there? What did you?
We were
what did you-
seeing prices as high as $6 for a gallon of gas.
Wow.
Oh.
I did go to the motorcycle dealer and I talked to Tamara and I'll tell you, it was hard not to come out of there with one of those electric motorcycles. They're gorgeous.
Mhm.
Which would, my life would probably last about 3 blocks, but but they were very willing. And so I'll confirm with them. I doubt that they'll let people drive them, though I don't know. We didn't get that far, but they're really beautiful.
I
If you
saw-
had a large parking lot, which we don't, it would be safer, but that's a lot of liability to have.
Well,
somebody just getting behind.
they probably wouldn't let anybody without a motorcycle license. get
Oh,
out.
yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's
There
it
you are.
there.
She said she pointed out one bike that they use for demos and they call it their crash bike because unlike a regular motorcycle, these things are so fast because of the instant torque of the electric motor
Totally.
that people instinctively gun them and run into something.
Oh, and probably do a wheelie too.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Well, I'm hoping we can get a few electric bikes there. And I saw something that looked like a mini motorcycle in Porter Hospital parking lot. Someone drove in, really thick tires, but hardly any of a frame, like nothing much there. And
Doesn't sound good to me.
oh, it was great. I talked to the guy who was on it and he goes, oh yeah, this is so awesome. It's something with 4 letters. I forgot what the name of it was. A kind of a popular name for it. It's a electric bike, but it has such fat tires that you can go so smoothly on the road and he gets a lot of miles in it.
And on the flip side of that, my wife has a bike that has been retrofitted with a motor. It's interesting as a cassette at the axle of the front wheel, and a few little wires that go up to your handlebar and a battery on your rear rack. You get, depending on how much juice, you can regulate how much assist you get. I mean, you can get 30, 40 miles out of a ride, and you can keep, if you love your bike, you can keep your bike, and it just, you get a new wheel. I think probably typical costs are in the $900 range, so it's a lot less expensive than buying a whole new, $2,000 to $3,000 e-bike, or more than that. Yeah,
Would she be willing to bring that?
absolutely.
Great.
Great.
Mm. Yeah.
Great.
Do you have
And
one?
that's off the shelf equipment, isn't it? To retrofit the bike. It's not something you do in a hobby shop. Yeah.
Well, they do it at Virgins. The guy at Virgins is really good at doing it. He's converted a lot of bikes.
Yeah, that's where we had it done.
Would he even want to participate?
Maybe. The thing is, we are doing it on a Saturday, so we don't know, but hopefully someone could come from their shop.
That's right.
Well, if
yeah.
he's
They
not
wouldn't want to lose business.
Yeah, well, if he saw an opportunity to generate some business,
Yeah.
it might be worth his while.
Yeah, even if
You
you
know-
got people who've bought bikes from him to show up with their bikes or whatever.
Do you know the name of the shop?
Boy, I don't know. Is it Little City? I really don't know.
Yeah, I can't remember either, but it might be Little City Cycles.
Okay,
I can look into that if you want, Richard,
Virgin Vermont Bike Shop.
or maybe someone else is interested.
It is Little Cities.
Okay.
okay. I'm just for the notes.
Oh, are you going to be around, Mike, you think?
What's the date?
October 1st.
Yeah, we'll be here.
So beautiful here then. You wouldn't want to leave. Do you want
Oh.
to look into that?
Contact him. Yes,
Yeah.
I will.
Great. Since you have a relationship with him now that you bought some
That's
stuff
right.
here. Great. It's going to be 11 o'clock on Saturday, October 1st. Probably 2 hours. But he could be here for just an hour if he wanted. Well, maybe we should say 2 hours.
You said October 1st.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mike. All right, next, let's see. Window dressers. I know there were only 3 of us in the meeting last time, but we all thought it would be good to go forward, and I think it would be great to go forward, especially now that the library might be getting some window inserts, and I think other people would like to. So are people interested in being a part of window dressers in some way? It's great.
Is
Me?
there a tentative date?
We don't have a tentative date yet. The Rotary in Middlebury is going to be running it, so it's not going to be at Holly Hall, but we would do outreach for Bristol, and we would, help with the build and that kind of thing,
Yeah.
and do the measuring and all that.
Yeah, I'd love to take part in that.
Great.
Typically, we sneak away the first 2 weeks in November, like we did
Oh, yeah.
this year.
Yeah. Well, we'll find out when it is. Yeah. Great. So I haven't heard any more about it than that, but Maggie is going to be the advisor to Middlebury, and she was our coordinator last year, and she was excellent. So
It's awesome.
we're in good hands. All right. I guess there's nothing else really to say about that. Last one was just talking about front porch forum postings. We've talked about it a few times, and I think it's helpful to put things in the front porch forum that excite people about green things. So if you ever feel like you're really having fun doing something green and you want to share in front porch forum, say, hey, and you could say you're on the energy committee or not, whatever you want. Oh, sorry, my internet's a little unstable, I think.
I thought that was your normal voice.
Did it do something weird?
Yes.
I just saw lines on a thing that told me
You
I was.
sounded like an alien.
So things like, you can even, I don't know, anything. Like, I guess I should do it more too, just talk about commuting without a car, that kind of thing. Or, but if there's anything that you have seen in your neighborhood, like, wow, 3 of my neighbors have electric mowers and it's so nice and quiet around here. It's awesome. Just any little thing like that, just to remind people of ways to save energy, and it's kind of fun. It feels good. Or even that I went for 3 hikes today and I never got it. I mean, not today, like this week, and I didn't have to get in my car because I explored this and this and this right around Bristol area. Things like that. Any kind of thing that's saving energy, saving emissions, healthy, green, that kind of thing.
There may be another way too. The United Nations reports coming out are not positive at all and to be writing about just walking around in our hikes and just imagining what it would be like if some of this did not survive increased temperatures. In other words, you know, we love what we see, and it has a real value to us, and it all can be damaged greatly and soon, even in our lifetime, by increasing temperatures and droughts.
Yeah.
We just, I mean, we are in a uncharted climate territory. 120 degrees in Pakistan
Yeah.
a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So it might be, you know, an appreciation of what we've got, and do whatever we can to assure that our children will have it as well.
That's really,
That's great.
it's really interesting. It's sort of a, it's sort of a bipolar way to be positive about something. That's pretty interesting, John.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yep,
I
it's
mean,
great.
I live in this little patch of a forest. I mean, forest 360 degrees, and when I go out walking around, I mean, I realize what would it be like if it was, you know, average temperatures in the upper 80s for summers.
Yeah.
Well, I look forward to your post, John.
Oh my God, I'm going to volunteer myself. Well, frankly, thank you, and I will take myself up on that. Okay.
Yeah. You have a special
Good.
place that you live, and yeah, it's great.
Yeah, good. But I have
Thank
to say thank you for this meeting, and good night. I've got something now I must attend to.
That's just fine. I think we're all about to sign off, actually.
Oh, good. Okay. Well,
Does anyone else have stuff they'd like to talk about?
I just have one small thing.
Great.
I know we were talking about the water plant a couple meetings ago. I have not lost that. I'm still tracking the water commissioner meeting, which I believe is going to be the 23rd, which is the next Monday. It's either going to be next Monday or it might be the first meeting in June for the select board. So I am still tracking that. I'm anticipating going to that meeting and just listening in. I don't necessarily think I'm going to have anything, you know, important to say to it, but I'll be the representative, and I guess I can report back to if there's any sort of, you know, whatever they decide to do about the water treatment plant in terms of future projects, doing that 30-year study and potential upgrades. So that's still something that I want to kind of keep track of, we'll say. So just want to let everybody know that meeting, I think, is either going to be, like I said, next Monday will be the water commissioner meeting, or the first one in June. Not 100% sure right now. So
Great.
well, you know, this federal infrastructure funding now really has a focus on water,
Yep.
and be interesting to hear some of the commission members talking about, well, you know, we should take advantage of
this opportunity
once in a lifetime.
Yep, absolutely.
Ben, when you find out when it is, when you find for sure, would you give the group a quick email?
Yes.
Anyone else wants to? I mean,
I
I don't
will.
want to, I don't know. We probably shouldn't all show up, right? Would that be a
I
big?
mean, even just to listen. I mean, I don't, like I said, I don't anticipate on saying anything. It is just a select board meeting that they also use as the water commissioner annual meeting, I think. So
Right, yeah.
if you're used to just joining the select board meetings, which is typically what I do for most of the other ones, you know, it's not anything different, but I think the focus might be, or at least a big chunk of the meeting would be, you know, talking about the summary of the water and wastewater, and maybe talking to the operators too, VTUMs and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So
I think it would be interesting. I'd be interested in being at it just to kind of hear what's going on.
yeah, when I get it confirmed, I'll let everybody know. I'll send out a note to everybody.
Thanks.
I have something that's kind of a fun aside here. My son is involved with a group of his soccer buddies. They've created a semi-professional soccer team for Vermont, and it's an ESG soccer club. And they're doing absolutely remarkable things. It's called Vermont Green FC. This is one of their shirts, and this is their badge right there. But anyway,
What does
The one-
ESC mean?
ESG, Environmental Sustainable Governance.
Oh,
A lot of corporate, I mean, it's a big corporate thing now. All corporations, not all, many corporations are having whole sections that are dedicated to, you know, it's that effort to go net zero. It's an effort to recognize the impact of environmental degradation on the least able to deal with it, minority communities. So what they've done is they've created this club. They're sourcing all their uniforms and equipment through a company that does recycled polyester. And then when those kits, they call them kits in soccer, get worn, they upcycle them and they're reused again. They're offsetting their transportation costs to away games. They're offsetting, they play at Virtue Field at UVM. They just started their season, and they're selling season passes that are being, more season passes for this club have been bought by people who will never come to the game. They have a very big internet footprint, and they've been able to sell more season passes. And what they're doing with those season passes is they're distributing those tickets to the minority communities in Burlington so that the kids can attend games. They're also, they've been interviewed by the BBC Print. They've been interviewed by international podcasters, you know, from England, from Africa. It's quite remarkable. There's sort of an international phenomena. They're getting all sorts of attention. So I just brought it up because it is a great way to support those efforts by attending games and enjoying the excitement. And it's going to be kind of unique. I mean, Vermont, I think Vermont's going to be recognized for the uniqueness of that particular club. And they play in the USL Division II, which is 4 levels down from the very top. And these are former college elite players and current college elite players. They have players from Portugal, they have players from Norway, they have players from all over the United States. They come here, and the club has arranged housing for these folks. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. So I'm kind of putting a plug in because it is an environmentally, an environmental, how shall I say, support and awareness effort.
thank you.
Yeah,
Good to hear about it.
yeah. Google it. Green Mountain, Vermont Green FC. They have a fantastic website, and it will tell you all about their efforts and what they have already accomplished.
Great. I noticed, since we're near the end of our meeting, Catherine, I realize you showed up, and I hope I didn't have you waiting out there for too long, but then I noticed you were there. Do you have anything you'd want to talk about or anything like that?
No, thank you, Sally. I just was out in the garden and my time got away from me.
Yeah.
So I just ended up coming in and remembering. But it sounds like you've been having a great discussion. So
Well, thanks for popping in, and you might still be able to be in the garden some more.
no, thank you.
Anything else from anyone here in the group before we leave? All right. Well, thanks for being here, and enjoy
Thanks,
some more.
everybody.
Yep. Thanks for getting us here, Sally.
Have a good
Yeah,
night,
Yeah,
everybody.
Thanks, Sally.
You're welcome. My
Good
pleasure.
night.
Night.
Night.